This meeting to order, please. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Jesse, would you like to do roll call, please?
Yes. Member Lantry,
Present.
Vice Chair Oquendo,
Present.
Member Rivera provided notice of his absence, so he will have an excused absence for the record. Member Carney,
Here.
Member Grigsby,
Present.
Member Wolfer, and at this time, I have not heard from Ms. Wolfer, so for the record, she will have an unexcused absence for the record. Member Douglas?
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum, and tonight Ms. Douglas will be a voting member. All five of you will be voting members, and so you'll be voting tonight.
Also, welcome, Ms. Douglas.
Thank you. Welcome.
As you all know, the alternates can participate throughout any proceeding, but the voting itself is limited to the five regular members, so thank you.
Can we please, has everybody read the minutes? Can we get the approval of the minutes?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion passes.
No call for the vote?
Everybody vote?
Aye.
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 Anybody against?
Okay, passes 5-0. And I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chairman, just to point out that this will be the nomination of chair and vice chair for the coming year. And so, Mr. Chairman, you will call for nominations for the chair.
I'll go ahead and nominate, if I may, to the board.
Or I will.
Camilo Oquendo. Dang.
I'm sorry, Ms. Carney. Yes?
I would like to present to our board the position for Camilo Oquendo as president of the committee,
Chairman of the board.
chairman, president. Thank you.
Oh, you're moving for Mr. Oquendo? Mm-hmm. Okay, I didn't, I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's all right, not a problem.
All right. Then the chair would call for a second.
I'll second.
As I mentioned to Mr. Oquendo, the nominees are voted on in the order in which they are seconded under the Robert's Rules of Procedure. So if there are additional nominees at any point in any proceeding.
So the next thing we're going to deal is the vice chair seat, correct?
Well, we've got a nomination for you to be chair. We would either call for other nominees or call for the vote, whatever is the pleasure of the committee.
Is there any other nominees going to be nominated for the position?
Or none? Then you would call for the vote.
Calling for the vote, please.
This is for, in favor or of Mr. Oquendo as acting chair for the coming year.
Aye.
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 Okay, all ayes. Congratulations, Mr. Chair.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be voting now on the vice chair. Any nominations, please?
Well, I would like to nominate Maria Teresa Carney for the position of vice chair of the board.
That's an honor.
I will second that.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, no nominations. We'll take a vote, please.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You have to vote, Ms. Carney.
Aye.
Okay. Congratulations.
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 Thank you, it's an honor.
Okay.
Attorney says, Maria.
I'm getting to business today. We have ordinance number 2022-20, DRC case number CDA 21-00002, Land Development Code Amendment to Article 3 and Article 8.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm Tisha Manning, Associate Planner for Community Development, and tonight I will be presenting to you the proposed text amendments to the Land Development Code, Article 3, Zoning Regulations, and Article 8, Landscaping and Tree Protection, as they pertain to the establishment of the residential architectural standards. Some of the purpose for these amendments is to address concerns from city council members that will ensure an aesthetic appeal to the city for its residential development, like it currently has in place right now for commercial development. And this is, staff does recommend approval. Some of the Article 3 zoning regulations that it's going to affect is going to be Division 18, which is the off-street and bicycle parking and loading. And they're proposing no on-street parking except in design or designated parking areas. Division 20 of Article 3 is a supplemental district, and this is going to be for encroachments for the air conditioner compressors that the air conditioner pads and condensing units will be installed with a minimum of 10 feet stagger to provide for drainage and accessibility. And what that means is when the houses are built, they're going to have to stagger the AC units so they're not side by side like some of them are now, and you can't access it through, you know, lawnmowers and different things like that. So to put that so that those encroachments are there. Also in Article 3, right now we have Division 26, which is non-residential architectural standards, and it's proposing that we're just going to change that to residential design standard. We're going to change that to architectural standards and add an additional section of 3.26.2, which is the residential design standards. And the intent, again, is to establish reasonable design standards for new residential developments of the city, to give it an aesthetic appeal, and also to kind of go alongside with our non-residential architectural standards. Some of the residential design standards are going to apply to single-family detached, duplexes, single-family attached, including townhomes, existing residential development if they increase or replace their floor area by 50% or more. And this is going to be on the preliminary subdivision plans, plan unit developments, the preliminary master plan, site development plan, and any type of residential development in the city. Some exemptions for when we have special districts such as the historic downtown district. We also have like the Narcoossee Commons. So anything with those overlay districts, we're still gonna follow those guidelines that are established in those design standards for those specific districts. Multifamily apartments and condominiums shall also adhere to are going to still adhere to the non-residential architecture standards, because those are going to be more in the aesthetic of commercial development, so they're going to still fall under the non-residential commercial standards. And there may be some other design standards required for planned unit developments at the discretion of City Council. If we have developers that come in that want to deviate from these design standards, then they're going to have to go through a formal deviation process in which they're going to have to file an appeal to City Council, provide that the deviation will not be contrary to the public interest and meets the general intent and purpose of this section. So some of the things that it states is conditions exist that are not result of the applicant and are such that a literal enforcement of the regulations involved will result in unnecessary or unique hardship, or a literal conformity with the regulations would inhibit innovative and creative design. So those are ways that they can deviate to the residential design standards, but they would have to appeal and go back to City Council. Some of the residential design standards, of course, that are continued, this is still under Article 3, is to provide a variety of product. So when you go into a neighborhood, we're proposing that elevations and facades are going to vary by type, paint color, and elevation shall not match the adjacent homes, nor a building site located directly or diagonally across the street. That is to kind of take away from the cookie cutter look. When you go in and every single thing looks the same way, because a lot of times they may have one or two different build types, but if we kind of limit them being able to paint them the same color and put them diagonally, it's going to help not have a cookie cutter look and give a more aesthetic appeal when you're driving into the neighborhood. It gives you more of a warm feeling that you're going into a neighborhood. Some other regulations is for the garages, requesting that they have recessed garages or overhangs and that the separate garage door entries. This is to kind of take away from when you pull up to a home, you see the large mass of garage. So to try to break up that and make it look more, appealing aesthetically, and give you more of a warm feeling when you go into the neighborhoods and not just look at garage doors everywhere. And another one is that garages are side-loaded, are exempt from this provision. One of, also we're gonna propose in some text for driveways. So pavers shall be required for driveway in the driveway if the driveway comprises more than 60% of the front yard area. Sidewalks and driveway aprons within the right-of-way shall comply with the applicable requirements of the Land Development Code. So as you can see kind of from these pictures, when you go into a development and it has that huge driveway or entrance to the home, no longer can it just be paved concrete. It does need to be some type of pavers or something that, makes it look more aesthetic and you don't just see a big block of concrete on the ground. Residential design for massing and composition. This one is just to kind of, again, it's all about what your eye sees when you look at a building. So buildings are going to be able to clearly delineate a base, middle, and top through the use of colors, material, banding, and enhanced roof lines, as well as, walls facing the street or public shall have a level of treatment similar to the front facade. Just when you're looking at something, you have something that's appealing to your eye. It's not just blank walls. It's not just, a wall of windows or something. So it's giving you something to actually look at, draw your eye into it, and then it's more appealing in the city. Blank walls shall be reduced by the inclusion of windows, vertical elements, with a plane change from the wall surface, shadow casting elements, material changes, or other methods. Then we would go to Article 3, we talk about windows and doors shall be accentuated through measures such as, adding trim, seals, lintels, or other treatments, shutters, awnings, framing, things like that. I mean, these are all things as a homeowner you want on your home. It's gonna make it look, it gives it more curb appeal. It gives it, more decorative, when you go into the subdivision. It just makes it more, aesthetically appealing to our eyes so that we're not just looking at, homes that are blank, or big walls or big garages and things like that. Some of the roofline elements, it's going to be molded or decorated fascia, frieze boards, gable details, and other treatments. And this is one that also for some homes that may not have adequate storage, if a garage is not provided, it is going to require a minimum of 40 square feet of enclosed storage area that shall be constructed so that residents will have a space to store bulky personal items, recreation equipment. Some people may use it to put their garbage cans, that way they're not just, sitting out by the side of the curb all day, things like that. So again, just a way to make it more aesthetic. Then again, back to the air conditioning equipment and mechanical equipment, it talks again about the stagger of the 10 feet minimum, oh my goodness, why can't I get that word out? Minimum for the adjacent properties. And now we go into Article 8, which is the landscaping and tree protection. So this is going to require a minimum canopy requirement of 60 inches per acre of trees, and that's going to be measured in dBH. So it kind of breaks down to a minimum of 2 trees shall be required per lot. And all street trees will be maintained by the homeowners association. So these amendments do fall in line with our strategic plan goals of economic development and growth management. And we do, at this time, DRC and staff does recommend approval of this ordinance 2022-20. And likewise, we request that the Planning Commission also recommend approval of ordinance 2022-20. All right, do you have any? And last slide is just to kind of give you some of the things that we talked about in the article and where they were addressed and what sections they were in. And I do just want to point out that we did not really talk about sidewalks because that's going to be covered under Article 6, as well as the ADA approved crosswalks is also covered under Article 6. Okay.
So I have a question. These are all changes to the current zoning regulation?
Yes, so what I went over, yeah, they're gonna be all changes to the current zoning, yes.
So anything that's built right now is grandfathered in?
Yes.
You won't have to make any changes, any townhomes, et cetera?
Not unless they increase the footprint by or
More than
reduce by
50%.
And what kind of ADH you're going to put in there? The disability ones?
ADA is already addressed in Article 6, so we didn't do any changes for the ADA.
Okay.
So again, the duplexes and townhomes, so that means if they're limited in space or whatever, they have to be super creative about their layout of their buildings, et cetera, to have staggered air conditioners, things like that.
Correct, but there, if you think about it, if a duplex goes in, a lot of times it's gonna be more flat, so they'll just have an air conditioning unit on each side. So the staggered ACs is more so, like you said, it will be more so for the townhomes.
Probably
where
townhomes more.
Yeah, where they're gonna be side by side, and of course, yeah, their space is going to be limited, but it's just a matter of moving it maybe front or back of the building versus putting them both at the same spot on each building.
Would be a concern of cost, because the end user, who is the consumer, for things such as pavers versus cement, that's a huge difference in price.
Yes.
So it kind of doesn't help the consumer, does it, as much as,
And to that point, I do agree with some of these changes, but there are a couple that I don't necessarily agree with. However, this vote is strictly, it's to approve the changes to the zoning regulations as presented, right? There's no,
Yeah, these are land development code amendments that you're
Right.
recommending by way of a motion in favor or against when it passes on to the.
but it's
city
all or
council.
nothing, as what
Correct,
was
it's as
listed.
proposed,
Yes,
the amendments
not-
that are proposed to you, correct.
I do want to point out that some of these have already been reviewed by city council, so these recommendations do come in that manner in some effect. So we have gotten some buy-in and some feedback.
Sure, of course.
She's supposed to be home.
Dagmar Segara, Planning Manager. Just want to add, yes, as Tisha mentioned, these recommendations, they come straight from the city council feedback of improvements that they would like to see in the city. And also, these are straight with some minor details direct from Osceola County Land Development Code architectural design standards for residential as well. So we pretty much we are adopting pretty much their language with minor details that, you know, such as the pavers and there's some elements that the city council requested. Also, this is no different for what we are already requiring annexation agreements that we negotiate with developers. So these changes and these proposals, they are already familiar with them. So yeah, it's nothing, this also was sent to the Chamber of Commerce for feedback. As of today, we have not received any feedback. And this is just, you know, recommendation to the city council, and there could be room for change between the first hearing and the final hearing.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, so for this evening, commission will make a recommendation either in favor or not in favor, and just clearly state in the motion, if it's the latter, any basis for concern about why you, the movement, cannot recommend the changes as presented, and that, you know, whether there's one or more. Just so there's a clean record, because this is feedback then that will be taken and recommendation to the council directly.
I would just like to state, no disrespect to the brilliant work that you all do, I find that I don't always agree with what our officials, county or whatever level, are trying to control. I find it's very difficult for people to buy homes. And the more things that we put on them that drive that cost, I find that very concerning as an individual. So regardless of what others think, I'm not so inclined to be a little more policing, I guess. That's just my personal opinion, so.
Yeah, and I'll mention that I think it's great that we are working on architectural design standards. I think that it's something we've needed. However, I feel that as a blanket, requirement for the entire city of St. Cloud, I don't know that it's appropriate. And there are some requirements in here that I disagree with. One being the paver restriction for if the driveway takes up over, so I can't remember what the percentage was, but
60%.
60%, over 60%, yeah. I mean, personally, I don't feel comfortable voting yes on this because there's some things in it that I think need to be worked on, and maybe this should be, I don't know if it should be a workshop in the future with, the city staff or something, but I think that approving this without having more, collaborative effort, I wouldn't feel comfortable.
I just do want to mention that this was presented at the city council workshop, was one of the items that they did here at workshop.
Okay. So you had mentioned that the city council had buy-off. Did they, obviously they didn't vote on it yet, right? But they were in favor of all of these recommendations?
A lot of these recommendations came directly from them, and we just, like Dagmary stated, just went to the county, kind of got some of the wording, and tweaked it a little bit to make sure that we applied it how they were requesting us to apply it.
Sorry. Just want to add that what we're presenting to you today are the minimum of what they want.
Mm-hmm.
This will be revised. There's more stuff that the city council would like to add to this. But we felt that with the amendment to our comprehensive plan that is going to be completed by the end of the year, which is going to be talking about the middle housing, missing the affordable housing criteria that we have to meet per statute. We wanted to complete those before we incorporate anything more stricter when it comes to residential. So what you're seeing today might get amended, might get stricter, but it's really the bare minimum of what the city council have asked staff to complete at this time.
Yeah, if I could, just for the commission, the focus on this is tonight fairly narrow insofar as the items that have been identified by staff as the amendments to the Land Development Code are to be considered and what your recommendation is, as I earlier stated. Either recommending that this be approved and moved on to City Council in that fashion, or recommend disapproval based upon issue 123 or point 123 for feedback that the council will then receive when it's next heard. That's really that's the role of the commission tonight.
Anybody else have any other comments?
Any other questions? Well, we have no public here for public comments.
You always call for public comment, and if
Public comments, please. Anybody in the public want to speak out?
no, okay, very good.
No.
Check the box.
We check that box, okay. Close public comments. we are already allowed the committee for discussion. Call for a motion.
I would like to make a motion to disapprove, and the reason being, there are some items in here that I disagree with having as a requirement for a new, residence, as well as I don't feel that we've been given enough time to review all of the changes or all of the additions to the zoning regulations.
You mean in your packet that you received?
Correct.
Okay. That were addressed here this evening?
Correct.
Anybody second the motion?
Second.
Come for a vote.
If the motion is to recommend denial of the amendments as presented, that's been seconded. So a vote of aye is in favor of the recommendation to deny. Okay.
All in favor to deny?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Mr. Okendo?
Aye.
Okay, so that passes 4-1, recommending to deny the amendments as presented, 4-1 denial. Okay, recommended. No, Mr. Okendo said,
Were you a nay?
Ms. Douglas was the only nay vote to the
I was a
motion.
nay.
Everyone, all other
Oh,
four
okay,
were
okay.
in favor of the motion, which was to deny. Okay.
Is there any way that we can get a workshop on this items?
You can talk to staff about that. You can also appear at the city council's review of this at the next meeting if it's going to be presented to the council.
Correct, it would be presented to City Council on April 14th.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to ordinance number 2022-21, DRC case PUD 21-00009, Stevens Retail Plaza Sign Plan Unit Development Amendment.
All right, good evening again, council members. Tisha Manning, Associate Planner in Community Development. The case that I'm presenting tonight is a PUD amendment for Stevens Retail Plaza sign. This property consists of approximately 8.84 acres and is located south of Nolte Road, east of Lafayette Trace Drive, and west of Canoe Creek Road. Currently, the future land use right now is low-density residential with the current zoning of planned unit development. The proposed amendment is a text amendment to the signage development standards to allow a single plaza sign for all parcels. Right now, there are seven parcels, and 3 of the parcels do not front an arterial road. So their signage would be to the back of other commercial buildings. This type of development is compatible with the surrounding area, and it poses no adverse impacts on city facilities. It is in alignment with our strategic plan goal of growth management as well as infrastructure. Staff reviewed this recommendation on about February 24th, and we do recommend approval of Ordinance 2022-21, and we request likewise that the Planning Commission also recommend approval of Ordinance 2022-21 based upon the 16 findings of the Land Development Code. And the applicant is available for any questions.
May the applicant come up, please?
Hello, Bismael Abreu on behalf of the City of St. Cloud.
Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question. So the monument sign, having basically multiple businesses on it rather than one, is it still restricted to the same dimensions and location as if it were a single sign? In other words, setback, height restriction, width, height, all that stuff?
The way it's written, the amendment's written, is actually compatible to the highway business zoning plaza sign standards. Sorry, is that correct? Correct, yes. So it matches for as far as setbacks, there's a proposed location for it that's gonna be on an easement. So that's the location that the city council, acting as the DSD board, at that time recommended that it be located 5 feet away from front and 5 feet away from side yard.
Okay. And then I have another question. If this is approved and they're allowed to put multiple businesses on this single monument sign, can the businesses that are on the 3 lots that are behind, do they still have an option to put a sign in front of their business, or no, or that goes away?
It will not be a monument sign in front of their business, but they still can do their facade signs. The whole idea of this is to reduce the crowding of signs in the property, to make it more appealing, and also for control. I believe there's an HOA or a commercial HOA that will manage the signage, and the maintenance of it, and all the tenants will be, and property owners will be taking care of it. But as far as just the facade sign, and then the monument sign will be for the street, so that everybody can see. So to answer your question, no monument sign in front of their individual parcels. That's what this is taking away.
Okay. And just one more question.
Yes.
That's only for these 5 parcels?
Correct, yes. So it's just to the parcels that are identified as Stephen Retail. So the Walmart will not be affected. They already
Okay.
have their own.
Yeah.
And also there's already a monument sign that's for the dental office. That's already been constructed, so we cannot go back on that. So they maintain their sign.
Understood. Thank you.
We will open it to the public. Any public comments? No comments, close it. Any further questions for the applicants or amongst yourselves?
No, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of ordinance number 2022-21, based on the 16 findings within the Land Development Code.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Okay.
Ms. Jessie, anything for us? Next meeting?
Yeah, and our next meeting will be April 12th, the same location at 6 PM. And you can call for the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved?
And second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody. Thank you.
I should say everybody go home before it starts raining.
Hey, it's not gonna rain.